So I posted about white folks on food stamps, and one thing I kept seeing was that welfare was created for white people. I knew that it was created during the New Deal, so I did some more research because I didn't really know the whole story, and I thank you guys for responding and helping me learn stuff. So during the Great Depression is when we saw the beginning of things like Social Security, unemployment insurance. But here's the kicker. When Franklin Roosevelt built those programs, he had to make deals with Southern Democrats in Congress, the same folks who were big fans of Jim Crow, to get the support of these racist white Southern politicians. The programs were designed to exclude farm workers, domestic workers, jobs held overwhelmingly by Black, Latino, and Indigenous people. So right from the start, Black and brown families were pushed out of benefits so that white people could get them. Then we move forward to the 1960s, and there's this war on poverty. It finally opened up welfare programs more broadly, and that's when food stamps became permanent. Well, permanent, we don't know what Trump's going to do to them, but they lasted a long time. And guess what? The minute more Black and brown families started accessing this help, the politics shifted. Welfare got a new image and a new target. By the 1980s and 90s, with Ronald Reagan and his gang, they pushed the welfare queen myth. That's a racist dog whistle meant to turn public opinion against safety nets by blaming Black women for poverty that white policies created. That's the truth, you guys. So yes, welfare was built for white people, and when others finally got in the door, they tried to burn the house down. If you want to blame the right people, you got to get curious.
Did y'all see the video of the man saying that white people were mad because they thought SNAP benefits were only for Black people, and now that they're mad that their food stamps are being taken away too? What? Except I lived in the South, so I have seen this before. Matter of fact, my best friend, I met her in college and she was pregnant, okay? That little boy, sweetest little boy, but she was on like WIC and food stamps and healthcare and everything too, right? As she should be. She needed the help. She needed the assistance, okay? We were driving the car one day. She would not shut the fuck up. She was like, I'm so mad at people taking my tax dollars and blah, 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 and we shouldn't be paying for other people's healthcare, and I don't want to pay for other people's food. And I finally go, girl, you know you're the other people, right? And she was like, huh? And I was like, the health insurance that made you be able to take your little boy to the doctor yesterday, I paid for that. The food that you eat that you put on your table, I paid for that. My tax dollars paid for that. Like, you are the people that you're talking about. How are you going to sit here and trash talk people when you are the people? Like, you have WIC, you have food stamps, and you have health insurance for you and your child. And you're going to sit here and trash talk people who use government aid. What? Anyways, they're mad now. They're mad now that their shit's being taken away too. Okay, did we all share the brain cell today, or what?
Dear nieces and nephews, if a news station comes up to you and they want to interview about losing your SNAP benefits, decline the interview. If I see you on a news station, I'm going to find you and we're going to have us a good old come to Jesus moment with Auntie. They are using us. They want to make the narrative that Black people are so worried about losing SNAP benefits, like we're the ones who get the most in SNAP benefits, and we're not. White women are. And the people who are going to crash out when November 1st happens and they can't swipe their card and it says insufficient funds on their cards are going to be the white folk, not the Black folk, because we're used to struggling. We used to struggle. We used to going to the church and getting food. We used to having community and people having a garden and showing up and making sure that families don't go without. These other people ain't used to that. They're not about that life. So they're going to be the ones, not to saying that we ain't going to hurt, but we know how to navigate these waters. They've never had to do it before. So when they crash out, they're going to want to blame it on Black folks. So don't give them the ammunition by you being all up on the news talking about some, oh yeah, I'm going to go steal, I'm going to go do this. No, you're not. Because we got our people.
Hello everyone, thank you for watching my videos. Let's continue watching these videos, and I'll be making my conclusions are at the end of this video. So it's amazing having you here, my viewers, my subscribers, and I really appreciate you. You really mean a lot to me, giving me the voice and comment. Tell me, why are we divided as a country so much? Why is hatred dividing our country so much? Tell me in the comment section.
I don't actually believe that there's this giant group of people that are taking advantage of SNAP benefits and using it to have like 5-course lobster dinners and wasting it all on sugary snacks instead of like celery and carrots and beet juice. But even if there were people taking advantage of it, why are people only ever mad when poor people try and get a leg up over on the system? When a billionaire finds a way to pay 0 taxes on their $1 trillion business, it's like talked about in Forbes. It's like, here's all these loopholes that Jeff Bezos uses to avoid paying taxes on Amazon. Here's all these loopholes Elon Musk has where his income's actually reported as this when he's worth this, so he doesn't have to pay taxes. Here's how all these businesses took advantage of getting free PPP loans when they didn't need them. Here's this influencer who made millions of dollars then moved to this country because they had 0 income tax. Like, there's all these ways that rich people get around the system. But the second poor people try and find these cracks, try and find loopholes, try and do anything to get just like a tiny leg up, it's a travesty.
You can afford to get your nails done, new tattoos, fake lashes, taking vacations, all that stuff. If you can't afford that, you can afford to buy your own groceries.
That line about lashes and nails, it's coded racism. For more on that, let's go to the research. I'm Dr. Shauna, a PhD who does hot takes with citations, and this is part 4 of our 5-part series on why we blame the poor. Today, we're talking about racialized stereotype. When I say coded racism, I'm talking about messages that use racially loaded cues without saying anything about race specifically. These cues are often used to trigger resentment and shame when we're talking about welfare because of the historical context in this country. When we use the words lashes, nails, and luxury, we are giving a racial message. And those words carry a racial message, whether or not someone intends to. That's the impact that they have. Now, for those messages in coded racism to have meaning, there has to be a context. And for that, we have to talk about the welfare queen. A couple of folks have mentioned this in the comment sections of the other parts of this series, and I think it's very important that we talk about it. Image of the welfare queen comes from the late 1970s and 80s, and from the one and only Ronald Reagan. Welfare Queen is a caricature of a Black woman supposedly gaming the system and living large on government assistance and welfare benefits. Decades of journalistic and historical records show the ways that Reagan used this term purposefully. He leveraged a distorted story about a real person, Linda Taylor, in order to sell a broader moral tale that racialized poverty as Black, female, and fraudulent. He then used that rhetoric to justify punitive welfare policy. Sociologist Patricia Hill Collins calls figures like the welfare queen controlling images, and these images are spread through pop culture, through the media, in order to dictate how we see marginalized groups. This stereotype, this caricature of the welfare queen, is used to make inequality look deserved by portraying Black women as deviant or irresponsible. Scholar Kimberly Crenshaw argues that policy debates often treat Black women's poverty as a moral pathology, failing to match a white middle-class ideal of womanhood. That's why talk of lashes and nails and new bags and new cars is never neutral, because ultimately it signals who must perform humility in order to deserve help. Now, to really understand this, we also have to talk about respectability politics, or the politics of respectability. And that phrase comes from historian Evelyn Brooks Higginbotham. Respectability politics describes the moral standards placed on Black women, standards that are weaponized to police appearance, sexuality, and consumption. Writer-scholar Tracy McMillan Cottom argues that beauty works like social capital with different rules and returns for Black women, which is another reason their adornment is scrutinized as evidence of morality. You can tell a lot about a society by who it thinks deserves joy. Black women's joy has historically been treated as evidence of guilt. Follow for more hot takes with citations and stay tuned for part 5 in this series.
I don't know about you all, but I'm ready for us to get to the Kool-Aid drinking portion of whatever hellscape cult that we are currently witnessing right now. I need these people to go ahead and expire like old milk. Every day we are inundated with foolishness, right? From them parroting whatever that man in the White House with long-term syphilis presenting as dementia is saying. Meanwhile, they are reading on a 5th and 6th grade level. You have no understanding about what is going on, but somebody gave you a mic and you have something to say. So much so, I had to go out and get me a flip phone so that I can slam it shut and channel my anger in a healthier way before I end up in the clink being passed around for cigarettes for going off on one of you all. Every time I open my phone, on a platform, on a podcast, on the news, somebody's saying something foolish. Well, Barack Obama built a basketball court. How is that the same as tearing down a whole wing of the White House, opening back up? Well, you know, the illegal aliens, I didn't know we were hosting people from Mars, Neptune, maybe Uranus, but illegal aliens, I don't think so. Opening my phone. Well, the Democrats got the government shut down. Oh, really? When the Republicans control the House, the Senate, the White House, and the Supreme Court. Make it make sense, right? You all want 20 million people to lose their health care or can't afford it because that's the #1 reason people go into debt is medical. Did you know that? No, you didn't, Kevin, because you out here spending foolishness. Open my phone again. Well, if people would just play nice and all high roads are now closed. We already made that announcement. That man stood up there and said, smart people hate me. Essentially calling you all foolish because you're dumb. But you can't catch that. He already said he's not getting into heaven. Right? He already knows what he is doing. But every day I open my phone, you all have something foolish and say, well, it's his money. Is it his money or private donors? Make it make sense because you're lying back and forth and you don't know. Right? Well, let me see this one right here. Well, slavery was so long ago. Really? Well, explain prisons to me right now. Quickly. Exactly. Shut up.
Do you know why I'm not concerned about the SNAP benefits being cut off in November? Because the only thing that stands between the masses and the lives of the elites is the social contract in which the masses have food. It takes about 1 day for an entire civilization to completely cannibalize itself when that social contract of food being available is gone. The thing that keeps the elites up at night is you being hungry for 1 single day. Because that's the only barrier between them and you throughout history. It's a fact. They already fixed the WIC program and had it removed from being affected by this because it was the first thing to be losing its benefits, and they're now pulling money from the tariff revenue to supplement that income for single mothers with children. You know why? Because of the exact same reason it takes 1 day for someone who is hungry in masses to rip your head off. So don't worry about it too much. They're terrified of that, so it'll get resolved. Even if it's in the very last second and they get tons and tons and tons and tons of clicks over it and you get a bunch of anxiety from it, because that's what they're scared of, is you being hungry. So hope that helps.
This level of hatred, I've never seen it anywhere else. MAGA Republicans are ready to lose SNAP benefits as long as Black Americans lose them along with them. So, what's your thoughts in the comment section? Leave them.
You are absolutely right. Black people were paying taxes for food stamps that they didn't fucking qualify for in 1939. In 1939, they were federally funded. So that means the federal taxes by Americans was paying for that shit. Almost knocked that over. Black Americans were paying through income tax, sales tax, and other forms of taxation. Even though most of them were excluded from receiving any of those goddamn benefits. Franklin D. Roosevelt made the New Deal with farmers and the surplus of food that they had on hand. And this gave farmers the ability to sell their surplus and help feed the hungry. I'm sorry, white folks. This allowed white folks to get orange stamps for food and blue stamps for surplus food for free. Now, the program was administered through local government and often by county offices. And in the Jim Crow South, baby, you weren't getting shit. Local offices routinely denied black folks of any help or gave them little to no amount. At that time, we didn't have our civil rights, so no one could fight against the discrimination of food aid. So while black people helped fund food stamps, white people got to eat off of our backs. Something that has been happening since the beginning of this fucking country. White folks love to call black people ghetto and tell us to change our culture. Yes, that shit came from a congressman, but don't realize they kept eating off of us from the beginning. So for all you white folks that sit there and talk shit about black people and being on food stamps and any type of services that the government funds for people in need, baby, y'all are the first broke bitches in this country.
Angry people, sit down, because you're about to get really upset over this one. There is a coffee shop they're calling it Snap Breakfast. I'm going to call it Snap Blessings. What happened was they saw that these benefits were being taken, yada, yada, yada. Snap's getting cut off for a lot of families starting November 1st, right? They had a bright idea. They were like, we're going to offer people to come in and they can have free breakfast for their families. And we are going to cover the cost of that. We're going to let other people donate if they want to. And so they made a post saying, as soon as the SNAP benefits are cut off, we're going to offer what we call Snap Breakfast. You come in, order a Snap Breakfast. We will ring you up like a regular order, but you won't have to pay anything and we will give you food. They posted this early because they wanted people to know. They wanted the word to get out so that people wouldn't go hungry. A child shows up and asks for a snack breakfast before the November SNAP is getting cut off deadline. And they gave it to him. So they shared the story. They're like, apparently hunger has already been an issue, right? But they just hadn't seen it firsthand. And this SNAP benefits haven't even been cut off yet. So they gave this child a free SNAP breakfast because he saw it online and he was hungry before school. And so they shared this story. They shared what they were planning on doing. They were knowing that there was going to be people in their neighborhood that were going to need it. And they started accepting donations. And they got $80,000 in donations. Okay, it's grown so much, they started offering it early for people who are already in need and who were already struggling before they lost what benefits they had for food. And so it has went from people in South Africa donating, Canada, the United Kingdom, literally all over the globe. The world right now is helping to support American families who are going hungry. Let that sink in. Other countries are supporting Americans, which is considered a first world country, families who are going hungry and who are about to be really going hungry. They started with 84,000. That was their big. They're like, oh my gosh, in just a matter of days, 60,000, 84,000. Within 48 hours of this story breaking, they reached $184,000 in donations to help feed people in their community. And this is in Portland. This is in Portland, Oregon. Did I forget to mention that? The place where they're saying this is like a terrible place to be. You have to be careful. Don't go to Portland right now. They're basically like dealing with all of this like mass fighting and like all of these protests. It's very dangerous. These are the people who are feeding the families in need right now.
Am I a bad person because I got a little smile on my face when I found out that 42% of the people that receive SNAP benefits are white people in red states?
Thank you everyone for watching this video to the end. It's always amazing having you here, my viewers, my subscribers. You really mean a lot to me. And what I want to say about this video, it's really disturbing at the thought of how propaganda can spread in our country. Because I was on Twitter the other day and I saw several conservative commentators claiming that black Americans are using a SNAP benefit to buy large TV screens, to go on vacations, you know, to buy junk food. And it was directed on one race, you know what I mean? So it's really disturbing how we, the poor, can be put against each other. We continue fighting as we lose our rights we lose our benefits, you know, we lose everything. We are put against each other. The same thing is happening with immigrants. Trump is blaming immigrants for accessing our healthcare, which is a lie. A lie. You can't have access to government insurance if you are an immigrant, illegal immigrant. I don't know how are millions of Americans believing this propaganda from the Trump administration. It really disturbs my mind. It really disturbs my mind. And this is the reason why I usually say that there is no way for us critical thinking Americans to win over MAGA Republicans. There is no way. No way. The only solution we have as a country is the silent majority to keep in voting better leaders. Leaders who have better agendas for our country. You know what I mean? Because all this hatred you are seeing online is being fueled by conservative leaders, by conservative commentators, you against me, and as we are fighting, they are looting our country. You saw Trump is demanding 230 million from DOJ. Trump is being given millions of dollars from Qatar, from Saudi Arabia, from Israel due to this ending of Gaza war. But you and me, we are losing SNAP benefits. Our farmers are losing our farms. You know what I mean? And still, we are voting on hatred. We are voting on racism. What's wrong with our country? What's wrong? What's wrong? I thought we were the best country. I thought we were a beacon of democracy, the leader of the free world. What's happening? Propaganda is taking hold in our country. And as we usually blame our countries like North Korea, Russia, of running state propaganda, our propaganda is the best in the world. And it's not state. It's usually ran on local level, state level, federal level, everywhere. Propaganda, propaganda. To pit Americans against each other. And we are fighting, we are forgetting the real problem which is affecting our country is incompetent leaders in the United States. Trump, a failed businessman, a criminal in the White House. Felons don't vote, but we have one as a president. How did we come into this? What I usually say is stay alert, stay focused. Don't fall for the government psyop. Talk blue, listen blue, vote blue. Until the next video, thank you for your attention to this matter.